This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Ho, 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 Santa Farrell is back with my big blue bag of goodies. I'm ready to give something away with my cute little elf from Canada, Petey Williams.
I knew you were going to call me the elf. You started talking about the big blue bag, and I'm like, oh, he didn't set me up with the elf, but that's fine. I'll be your elf any day.
Thank you. So Santa Farrell and Petey Elf is here to give you Blue Chew, Petey, this holiday season. What better way to spice up the eggnog? You know, the kid goes to bed, Santa Claus has come and gone, he's eaten the cookie, drank the milk. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to put her present and stuff it in the sock.
I was going to say, yeah, if you were going to miss that about having a stocking stuffer, I was going to slap you right through this phone right now.
I'm glad you didn't. Wait. Phone? You're sitting right here next to me.
Well, through the mic, I mean.
There you go. So BlueChew.com, you go there, you use the promo code WPP, and like a perfect little stork, Santa Farrell will come in the middle of the night, jump down the chimney, leave you a discreet box with no markings on it. You open it up, you get a free order of Blue Chew, Petey.
Free order. I mean, presents are free from Santa. So, I mean, it's like Blue Chew's giving us stuff for Blue Chew equals Santa Claus. Blue Chew is Santa.
That's right. But now, unlike Santa, I'm lazy. So you're going to have to pay $5 shipping and handling to get Santa Farrell out of the bed, into the sleigh, come deliver the package. That's it. That's all. $5 for a free.
That's nothing. I mean, what do you pay Santa to come to your house? Milk, cookies. That's all $5 anyways, right?
Milk is expensive. The cookies. Then you have to clean the chimney. I mean, you know how expensive a chimney sweep is?
I do not.
Expensive.
But I'm sure it's really expensive.
Yeah, you don't want Santa coming down a dirty chimney, do you?
I don't want anybody coming down a dirty chimney.
Now, we know what milk is made out of. We know what the cookies are made out of. But guess what Blue Chew is made out of?
The same ingredients as Viagra and Cialis?
And love.
And love.
But yes, the same ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. It's chewable. It's made in America, which means after I give you the free order and you're like, hey, this is nice. I get to go all night long. What's Ric Flair say? Space Mountain, the longest line and the oldest ride?
He does, yeah.
You look, after your free order, you fall in love with it, you get another order. Hey, it's easy. You chew it, it works twice as fast as those other pills. So if you're using them, get off of it. Made in America, which means it's cheaper. Wow. Guys, Blue Chew, use the promo code WPP. They've been amazing to us. We now have a radio show because of Blue Chew's help. So let's give back to Blue Chew. Go there, use the promo code WPP. Now look, I get people all the time that'll DM me and go, oh, your Blue Chew spots are amazing. I'll be like, did you order it? They're like, no, I don't need it. But guess what? I don't care if you need it or not. Go order it. How about that? Let it sit in a drawer. Take it. Use it. I mean, I don't know if you're like the cool wrestling nerd with the cool wrestling nerd girlfriend. Use it together. Maybe you don't have a girlfriend. Just order it and put it in. Give it as a birthday gift or a gift that keeps on giving. I don't care. Just stop ordering the Kenny Omega pins and your elite stuff, at least for 1 week, okay? They've made enough money. They're rich. Us, Petey and I, Petey had to take a second job as an elf to afford the house he lives in now.
I did a mall elf.
A mall. The Canadian caroler.
Yeah, it's true. It's 100% true.
Times are tough as Petey Williams is an elf.
Petey elf.
Petey elf.
He's working at the mall.
I love it. So
Great Lakes Crossing.
Go to BlueChew.com, use the promo code WPP. It just helps the show. I don't care what you do with it after you get it. Tweet us, tell us you did it. because it's amazing. It helps us. It helps you. Trust me. You know what? You could get in the bed with this advertisement and it won't work. Believe it or not. You could play it and be like, babe, listen to this ad. This will be just as good as Blue Chew. Don't be cheap. It doesn't work like that. Your wife will be like, first of all, who's the fat guy calling the short guy an elf?
Well, first of all, who knows that you're fat and I'm short on this through our voices?
Well, now they do.
I come off as a short person and you as a fat person? I digress. Go on.
Anyways, you can do that, sure, but it's not the same. So actually get the Blue Chew. I've used it. I chew it, take a shower, I come out. I'm so fresh and so clean. And look, it's a kid show. We'll leave it at that. To transition from Blue Chew into selling shirts, go to whatforapparel.com/WPP. Go buy a shirt. We've got 3 or 4 on sale. We have shirts and hoodies. We've priced them to be a little bit cheaper than any other shirts you might find on the market right now because, heck, I think it would be cool to go to an indie show or something and have somebody wearing like something of mine. So we did it. So, if you're not going to buy Blue Chew, go buy a damn shirt. Stop being cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it is a cool feeling when you're walking around an indie show or even out in public and somebody's wearing your shirt and you're like, what the... It's a surreal moment. It really is. So, yeah, please, with the shirts.
Yeah.
It makes us feel great. And I know everybody wants to make us feel great because we make everybody feel great when we do this podcast. Or so we assume.
Well, what do you think now?
Well, I think there's only one thing left to do. Hit my music.
We are in the holiday spirit. Countdown to Christmas is on. It's a Wrestling Perspective podcast. I'm Dennis Farrell, and he's Petey Williams.
Now, how's she going, eh?
It's going good, Pete. I keep trying to think of a clever comeback. One day, in true podcast radio style, I'll have a great... you'll be like, how's she going, eh? And I'll be like, blah, da, blah, da, blah. And everybody be like, ha, 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 ha.
Now, yeah, I say that probably every single day of my life. How's she going, eh? And I have nobody yet to make a comeback. It's almost like I'm making fun of myself when I say it. So how do you go one deeper, right? So
I agree.
One day I'm assuming you're gonna hit the nail on the head. I'm pretty sure you will.
We are, I'd say, 60-something, 80-something episodes into this podcast, not counting a few that we've had to delete along the way, and I've yet to come up with something clever.
Man, have I been saying how's she going, eh, since day one?
I think it took
I think I have, or maybe not.
It might have been day 1 or day 2, but very close into it, you've started doing the how's she going, eh?
Yeah, I got to start doing it on TV. You know what? I should probably just make another comeback, and start saying it on TV, I guess.
Are you going to unretire from your unretiring?
So, I'm not retired right now. I just haven't been on an active wrestler role on television since I think my last televised match was, not including Twitch episodes and all that, on Impact was September, I believe. And... so it's been 2 months. Wait, no, 3 months. I'm sorry, 3 months. Yeah. So I think it's time to. What do you think, Dennis? Lace the boots back up, kind of dust off the trunks, and start hitting some Canadian destroyers again. I mean, I think I gotta.
Where do you live that you collect that much dust on your wrestling gear if you just put it away for a couple months?
Well, I hide my wrestling gear under my house because my wife doesn't know that I still wrestle. Remember, she doesn't know. She doesn't watch wrestling, so she has no idea. So that's why it's all dusty.
You've been telling her you've been going to elf school?
Elf school, yeah. I said, hey, wife. I said, I gotta, because I call her wife to her face. Hey, wife. I gotta go to the mall, for my extra, elf gig. I'm Petey the Elf at Great Lakes Crossing. And I train all. Yeah, she thinks I do that every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
That would be phenomenal. Like you run out the door and like in a Superman fashion where you know kind of rip open the button shirt and you're just shirtless under there because you're a wrestler.
Yeah, I go in one of those telephone booths that are like so obsolete now because nobody uses like a telephone booth anymore because everybody has a cell phone. I go into one of those, and when I come out, I rip off my and I look exactly like Buddy the Elf from the movie Elf, and minus the height. I'm shorter, obviously, so it's not funny because I'm actually short. So I make a perfect elf. I really do.
I'm shocked they haven't done a Christmas episode of Impact and they've had you play an elf.
Stop. They have.
But
okay,
you play the elf.
We did play. I don't think they might have called us elves. So what we had to do for a Christmas episode in 2000 and whatever, they gave us a bunch of merchandise in like a red Santa bag. And I remember Sanjay doing it because I remember him being his face when we were doing it because we all thought it was so ridiculous just because, we're shorter than the main roster because we're X Division guys. They pictured us as like, yeah, you guys are going to be elves that give stuff away. And we just had to wear Santa hats, I believe, like that, the red ones that people wear with the white pom-pom on it and stuff.
Yeah.
We had to wear those. And we're like, this is ridiculous. But Sanjay's face, he just has a smile on his face, and he's just yelling in the crowd. And there's like holiday music playing in the background, or maybe it was like the Impact music. And he's just throwing DVDs out. He's like, you want a DVD? I'll give you. And he's just laughing just because it was so ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure on commentary they were saying like, oh, these must be Santa's elves or something like that. And I'm like, you guys, like, Impact did a really good job back in the day of burying their own talent. They did a great job of it. Not like right now they don't, obviously. We're moving in a totally different direction. But back then, like, I guess it would be something you'd see on WWE. I could see Vince McMahon sending the 205 Live roster out to the, for a little like 30-second, 1-minute spot during Raw or whatever. And them being dressed up, as like Santa's little helpers and stuff. I could actually see Vince doing that, but it's kind of degrading because you're like, oh, okay, well, you guys are elves, but that's the old Impact, I guess.
You probably won't answer this, and I'm praying before I throw this out to you that you answer this question.
Okay,
who was your least favorite booker? Out of any of them that you've worked for and under who have come to you guys with ideas, who was your least favorite that just continuously came with ideas that you're like, you're kidding, right?
Well, and I think I answered this before, and it's not that he was a bad booker. It's just that he didn't know, when he got the book, he didn't know anybody's names on the roster or the storylines. He knew nothing about the product. So he kind of like started from scratch, and that was Dusty Rhodes. Now, Dusty Rhodes is commended for being a great booker, and then when he was with NXT and stuff. But for the product that we had, one day, I think like Jeff Jarrett was out maybe, and then Dusty Rhodes was in. And I remember, like he knew my name, okay? So, I mean, I definitely don't hold... Yeah, I mean, he called me Petey, and... at the time when he got the book, I was the X Division champion. So, and I was booked in, great matches, like one with Sabin, where we had a great match, and the Ultimate X match with AJ and Sabin. And he really liked Team Canada. I just remember, like, he didn't know Eric Young's name. He just called him Canada. And I remember, like, Eric Young one day, like, we're standing there, and he was talking to us about we had a storyline going on with America's Most Wanted, and like Bobby Roode and Eric Young had to do like a cage match with them, and he was talking about like, he's like, we always see America's Most Wanted. This is back when like it was always cage matches. There was always a blood in it, right? So he was talking about America's Most Wanted. We always see them get busted open and bleed. He's like, maybe now it's time. One of you guys get busted open and bleed, maybe Bobby or even You could tell he was waiting for Eric to say Eric, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know your name." I don't know why I couldn't remember it, but Eric just stood there and was waiting. He was like, "I'm going to test him." I think that's what Eric was thinking. He's like, Canada over here," and he just called him Canada. And he might have knew his name, but then just forgot it. But it's tough I understand where he's coming from, because it's tough. You get the book, like guys that you've worked with before, maybe in WCW or WWE, but then 60% of our roster, maybe even more, 75% of the roster is probably all guys that, Dusty Rhodes has never heard of. So he's trying to, book everybody, and I don't expect him to remember everybody's name, but it's kind of like we just stopped and then restarted, which is fine. But I remember after that, as soon as, he got the book, Amazing Red was fired, Sanjay was fired, Alex Shelley was fired. He cut a lot of the guys that are right now, turned out to be, they end up getting rehired, and, their career really flourishing after that. So I would say in my time and era, because Jeff Jarrett was always the booker for the most part. Scott D'Amore was the booker. And people might argue Scott wasn't the best booker. I think he's a great booker because he provides wrestling on a wrestling show, and has pretty basic storylines that anybody could follow. Jeff was, and I don't know if it was Jeff's idea, but Jeff was notorious for making matches, unique matches, I guess you could say. And some of them worked, like the Ultimate X match and stuff. But Dennis, if I asked you right now, name the rules of the King of the Mountain match, would you be able to name all the rules?
Not all of them. I think maybe the one, isn't like everybody starts outside the ring?
I don't even know the rules. No.
Which one's
okay,
the
let's
one?
put that. So since we don't know, and I used to work there, do you think the fans, like a casual fan, would know the rules or be able to understand? In one quick, you should be able to say in a quick sentence, here's the rules of this match. Ultimate X match, anybody, okay, there's something hanging in the X, you go up and you grab it and you pull it down and you win. Kind of similar to a ladder match. You could say that in a sentence. The King of the Mountain match was kind of a reverse ladder match. The belt was laying around somewhere, and you had to, the only way you'd be eligible to go and hang the belt, so you had to climb up the ladder and hang it, was if you pin somebody first. So if me and you are wrestling, Dennis, and I pin you, you go in a penalty box, which was like a cage set to the side for, I don't know, like 2 minutes or something, or a minute. And then once I pin you, I'm eligible to get the belt and hang it throughout the match. So, I mean, it's a great concept, but when you have to explain all of that, the audience is going to go, what? And the only reason why I know these rules is because it was explained to me several times. So, some of the matches worked, some of the matches didn't. That's what Jeff was notorious for, or at least in his era, that's what Impact was notorious for.
Sure, today we giggle about it, but time will tell that this will probably have been the best match ever created, so just give it a few more years.
It probably, I mean...
It was just ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time. It really was.
Way ahead. I keep trying to think if there was something else that you had brought something else, but then I stopped listening and moved on. Before we get into what I want to talk about this week, and listen, I'm going to warn you guys now. Petey and I, we don't really get WWE heavy. Petey doesn't work there. He likes Ring of Honor, New Japan, WWE. There's you throw a rock and hit someone podcasting about WWE. I'm probably not the only one in my house podcasting about WWE, it feels like at times. But
no, I'm pretty sure that other family members of yours are podcasting currently right now about WWE.
And I wanted to say this because we have some great people that listen. Like the Honor Club girls, by the way, are phenomenal to us on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for all the retweets. I really appreciate everything from every one of you guys that listen, even outside of the Honor Club girls, to just the fans in general. This thing has been growing every day, and we really appreciate. And I'll have people that will DM me and be like, hey, I'm sorry to bug you. Look, you can DM me. You can tweet me anytime you're not bugging me. I leave my DMs open. I'm excited or glad if you want to talk wrestling with me. If I don't reply, I'm just into doing something else. And it's not that I'm ignoring you. I enjoy having people tweet me, and you were the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I notice a lot of people, will tweet each week about the show and stuff like that, or comment on it. And I recognize like he last week and this week. Okay, so it's good to know that people are like. It's almost like we're our own serial drama. You know what I mean? Like people are like, oh, I got to tune in next week to see what. Dennis, we have to end our shows with cliffhangers. That's what we have to do.
Each week.
Each week we had to end it with a cliffhanger. Like, oh man, I wonder. Like you asked me a question, and I'm like, oh, that's a good question for next week. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. We'll open up with. Oh man, I got it. Wow, that's podcasting 101, I would think, Dennis.
Wait, here's the deal.
Okay. At
the end of every podcast, you and I will be talking, right? And then we'll hear some crashing in the background on your side. You'll turn around and be like, what the? It's a mask. And that's it. And then every week we'll be wondering what masked guy broke into your house and beat you down.
Or I gave the Canadian Destroyer to. That'd probably be. Or what actually happened? Did they get beat down or Canadian Destroyer? Yeah, okay.
It depends on who's booking the podcast. You're probably just going to get beat up in handcuffs by somebody.
Killer Cross. Okay.
Every week it's just Killer Cross is the guy that does it.
What's that?
I said every week it's going to be Killer Cross is the guy who beats you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just him as a different masked person. He'll have a different mask on each time.
I like where this idea is going, by the way.
We you know what? We'll talk off air and we'll have something prepared for next week. This will be good.
What if we could really get a wrestler to come to your house and beat you?
They'd have to get through the guards in the front, the guard dog. There'd be a lot to get. I'd be impressed if he got through. He or she, because I could be attacked by a female. That's a great cliffhanger right there too. Yeah, I mean, I'd be impressed if they got through everything. Yeah.
All right, let's get on to what I want to talk about this week. Like I started with saying, we just don't talk a ton about the WWE here. Sometimes we'll go through, we don't do recaps, but McMahon coming back to Raw was very interesting to me because first and foremost, the only time you announce Vince McMahon's coming back to Raw after 3 weeks of the worst ratings in Raw history, whether you attribute to being winter or just that time of year or whatever, WWE is freaking out. This has WWE freaking out all over it. Now, I have the clip pulled up courtesy of WWE.com, and I want to play. It's about 4 minutes and 25 seconds, and I want to play all of this. And I won't interrupt it, although I kind of want to, and then be like, let me talk about this point. But that helps nobody but my ego there. So we're going to play the whole 4 minutes and 25 seconds. From there, we're going to spend the remainder of the show just kind of dissecting it because I think we're getting bamboozled here, Petey Williams.
All right, well, so I have my opinions on it, but let's go ahead and play the clip and then get to the bottom of this.
Can you say almost like at the top of the show where you say, play my music, where you be like, play my clip?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. It's not my clip, but okay. Play the clip.
So everybody wants to know what's going on with Monday Night Raw. I'm sure you've asked that question. Because Monday Night Raw has been on the air for over 25 years. That's extraordinary. One of the reasons for our success, of course, is we change with the times. When the times need a changing, we do just that. We change with the times. And despite one man's brilliance, despite one man's creativity, one man's vision, can't do it all by myself anymore, that's for sure. I can do it without you guys, though. Yeah. So with that in mind,
we're gonna have a family reunion on Monday night.
let's be nice. And
What an incredible start to Monday Night Raw. He is the COO of this company.
Here comes the money.
You're kidding me.
Aw, snap.
It's not Tuesday. That town just came unglued.
Well, we're out here tonight because we haven't been doing a very good job for you lately. We haven't been doing the one thing that my father has always taught us to do, and that's listen to our audience. We've let middle managers air their petty grievances. We've been suffocating our superstars, and all of that is going to change, and it starts tonight. We're off to a fresh start.
The days of absentee management are over. As of now, the four of us will be taking back Monday Night Raw.
And that goes for SmackDown Live as well, because the four of us are personally responsible to ensuring that all of you have the best possible experience that there is.
We're going to empower our superstars and empower all of you.
And more importantly, we're going to give you what you want. Something new, something fresh. In the coming weeks and months, you will be seeing new faces, new superstars, new matchups. As of now, you are the authority.
And as long as we give you less of what you don't want and more of what you do, WWE will always be then, now, and forever.
All right, we'll end it there.
Okay.
You still there after 4
Yeah,
minutes?
I'm still here.
So let me start with my first immediate feeling after watching this again and listening is, hey, please don't turn the channel anymore.
I don't think that's the intention they were going for, but
Secondly,
yeah.
Secondly, it's if the show sucks, it's because we're listening to you.
You mean now going forward, if the show sucks, it's because we're listening to you?
Yes.
It's your own fault?
That's exactly when I started listening to this and the way they essentially tried to put this back on us now. I watching Twitter, listening to this, everybody's like, hey, if you're truly listening, will you do this, this, and this? And they're adding Shane McMahon and Vince, and there's no way, that they're truly going to listen to us. Sure, if a guy comes out and they boo him horribly, maybe they don't put that guy in that spot right now. But they have contracted talent already. And the issue of Raw isn't the faces. It's just the storylines and the repetitiveness. So if they change some things around and it still doesn't work, you can't tell me they're not going to come back and be like, hey, we listened to you.
Yeah, I mean, so much is going through my head because initially, the purpose, like the intention that they wanted the fans to feel from this was like, hey, we apologize for not listening to you. Because let's just go back to the Roman Reigns era. everybody's bashing Roman Reigns, right? And they just keep pushing Roman Reigns. So, I don't know if it's their way of saying like, hey, we're not going to do that kind of stuff anymore. If you don't want to see a particular A wrestler, okay, we'll give you the guy that, like back when Daniel Bryan, remember they were kind of many WrestleManias ago. They didn't want him to be in the main event. They were pushing for like a Batista versus Randy Orton or whatever. And the fans like really wanted Daniel Bryan, and like, WWE fought it and stuff. And so maybe now they're just going to be like, yeah, okay, let's just go with this guy. Let's see what happens and stuff. So I think that's the initial, what they were trying to portray to the audience. How it really is, I mean, you can't really change the structure of a company. I mean, you could have, maybe had WWE can maybe have a different like mission or goal now, but at the end of the day, stuff has to get approved and storylines have to get written. And I mean, I really don't know how that's all going to look behind. I can't see like, I could.
Here's the thing.
It's tough because what's going to happen is, say if the fans are cheering somebody a lot, then that wrestler, does he start getting an ego and be like, hey, aren't you guys listening to them? Like if this was real, okay, so aren't you guys listening to them? I'm untouchable now, so you got to push me because the fans want me to get pushed. So it blows up the wrestlers' egos now because, I mean, management can always like cut his legs out from underneath him and be like, no, we're firing you or whatever. We're sitting at home, or you're under contract with us. But if they truly listen to the fans, that's going to create a problem because then wrestlers are going to be like, I'm getting the most cheers, so I'm getting pushed, and you guys can't do anything about it because the fans want to see me. So that's why I don't think it's going to happen.
To me, this is all damage control, maybe even some storyline.
Yeah.
Because there's no way a company that – look, it's the writers who are in a position to make us feel one way or another about a wrestler. It's their job. You go out there, and how many times have we seen one guy say one thing and turn the whole crowd around and start a chant because of something cute and clever? I mean, it's the writers and the wrestlers' job to go out there and sway that crowd. And I hate to say this, and I'm a fan. I sit in a crowd. I watch wrestling, but overall, I think and I feel bad for saying this, and if it comes out horrible, I apologize. But I think the majority of WWE fans who'll go maybe once a year to a show and will watch some Monday nights, maybe not Tuesday, but can only really tell you the top guys and can't tell you, who Daniel Bryan was before coming to WWE. The hardcore WWE fans just in that bubble, I think they are sheep. And
yeah,
you saw that during this clip when Vince McMahon comes out, and these guys are doing a 15-plus-year-old chant of what? Nothing original. They're sheep. And I don't mean that as a total insult, as bad as this sounds. But if Baron Corbin comes out, who's been booed horribly over the last couple months, right? WWE could write him into a position where the fans turn and they love him again. It just happens week after week after week. It's their job. It's not the fans' job to dictate who we watch and don't watch. I don't know. You know what? Me as a fan, I like to cheer who I cheer, boo who I boo, and it's nothing to do with politics. It's everything to do with a good show being written. I don't know if they're trying to pass the buck, middle management squabbles. You are the top 4 people in one of the largest companies in the United States, and the best excuse you can come up with over the reason why your show sucks lately is middle management squabbles. This is a company where no one sneezes without Vince, Stephanie, Hunter, and Shane knowing about it in that company. And that's the excuse they're feeding us.
Yeah, I mean, they're the one thing they're doing that's kind of correct is they're taking ownership for
That's not ownership. That's passing the buck.
Of the
Now,
low ratings.
That's
They're like, hey, well, no, not the why. They're taking ownership, like, hey, we understand the show's not good. We're not giving you what you want. Okay, that's taking ownership. Their reason behind it, well, now they're not owning up to it, like middle management. I don't even know what that possibly means because you still have to have like agents and stuff, and I don't even know. But I mean, I could see this leading into a story. This is just one big storyline, I believe. You'll see them four on television more, and they're going to end up feuding with each other somehow because right now they're all on the same page, and this is going to break off. Or maybe, they're not going to do the roster split anymore. They're going to do like how it used to be where everybody's on, Raw and SmackDown or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, you're right, Dennis. Like, right now, people are booing Daniel Bryan because that's what is written for him. Weeks ago, they're all chanting yes for him. And they can tomorrow, if they wanted to, have people cheering Daniel Bryan again. And it's a TV show at the end of the day. And they're going to... I don't know why they said that. That's the... why they would come out and say that. Probably, and I don't know what the changes that they're talking about. Like, they're changing with the times, okay? Back in, the 80s, wrestling was what it was. And then in the 90s, I guess every character was an occupation. Like, you had your tax man and your, I think they had a garbage truck driver and a dumpster, a plumber. Like, everybody was an occupation. It's like they just got off work in their uniform and then came and wrestled, right? Prison guard, big boss man, all that kind of stuff. And then you change to the times. You're like, hey, it's kind of hokey. People don't want to see that anymore. These people that watch our show are growing up now. And then you have the Attitude Era, right? And then after the Attitude Era, it's the PG era.
Then ruthless aggression and
they could name it whatever they want. But those are, you had the 90s, and then you had the Attitude Era, and then you have what you have now. So, what's next, right? You got to look at the people that, we were teenagers, maybe in the Attitude Era-ish, coming out of high school, in high school, that kind of thing. So we've grown up to where we're at now. Okay. Those kids that are like in high school and stuff like that, they're looking at something to get involved in or watch on TV. What are they going to do? What do these kids want to see now? The millennials and stuff. What do they want to see? That's what WWE has to go after, and maybe that's what they're trying to do. Like, hey, we're going to change with the times. That was a really interesting line. We're going to change with the times. So,
look, this is WWE has probably the most talented roster in the history of its own company. From top to bottom, this talent roster, I would put it up against any era, even Rock and Stone Cold. Because after Rock and Stone Cold, then you get a drop down into like Val Venus and, maybe this era we're in doesn't have a Rock or Stone Cold, but I would put the top guys right now against the top guys then, and I would put the middle guys now probably against the top guys then, because the middle guys now are all champions in other organizations. This is the most talented roster. It's being smothered creatively. They're not allowed to do their own promos because everything has to be written out and approved 3 times over before it goes out on TV. Wrestlers don't have their own voice. It's not middle management squabbles. It's not letting these guys do what they did best to get to the major leagues. It's almost like, I'm trying to think of a Major League Baseball player. Let's just say Babe Ruth, okay? Essentially, that's the best everybody knows about. Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron or whatever. It comes up through the minors, a little bit cocky, kind of brash. Then he gets up to the New York Yankees and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I see what got you up there. It's, maybe you like to steal bases. but we're going to totally change around your game and turn you into something different because, well, we want to own you and own everything you do. If you walked up to bat and you squeezed the bat 3 times and you wiped the dust off your pants, then you got into swing, and that's why all the fans love you. But now we're going to change everything totally different. That's the WWE's problem. They put the almighty dollar over creativity right now. I think New Day has been cute and clever at times, but at times they're campy and overboard with selling merchandise. The pancake thing kind of ran its course, and then they had the ice cream, and maybe there was another product in there. And I get it. Maybe they're getting a cut of that to help pad their pockets. But as fans, I want to see entertainment. I don't want to see shameless shilling like Blue Chew. Go to bluechew.com/WPP and use that promo code. Nobody wants to see that. No. You know what? It's the same thing. Like I love Conrad Thompson. I love something to wrestle with, and I love 83 weeks. But that's another example of every 5 minutes there's a commercial break in a podcast, and it kills it for me. And then it's, well, you don't want that? Pay the extra money, and you get the commercial free. I don't think I could ever take our product to that level. It seems like at that point, then you're trying to milk the fans for every dime that they may have. Like, go to whatforapparel.com/WPP and buy a shirt. You know, it's a slap in the fans' face.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, you know, you watch wrestling to be entertained, you know, and I mean, are the fans griping that they're not entertained? Like that they don't want to stay tuned in to watch the 3-hour show? I mean, I think that's maybe their complaint. As it comes to talent on the roster, you're 100% right. Like the talent, like the physical athleticism talent, the cardio aspect of everything, it by far beats anything of the old wrestling, like any former generation. Absolutely. You know, but you look at somebody, you know, from the 80s, 90s, or whatever the case may be, you know, they might not be the most athletic guy. They're not doing like 630s and 450s and doing backflips and all this kind of stuff. But one thing that they could do was, hey, they could deliver a hell of a promo off the top of their head. Like, you know, Dusty Rhodes, man, he can just go out there and talk. You know, Ric Flair could just go out there and talk. Were they the most athletic guys in the world? Absolutely not. They weren't. But like back in the wrestling day, you looked at characters who can talk and stuff. The wrestling actually didn't even really matter back in the 80s and early 90s. It really didn't. Like you watch matches from the 80s, you know, they're making like they're actually making a headlock mean something. They're holding it, you know, and they're not even getting into the tackle for like the drop down or the hip toss or anything. It takes minutes to do that. But the fans loved it. I mean, so, you know, wrestling kind of shot itself in the foot, like moving on and stuff, but they had to with the times because people weren't entertained by that anymore. But, you know, moving with the times, if people want to see action in the ring, but, you know, one thing they are missing are characters like the Dusty Rhodes and the Ric Flairs and so on, and Stone Colds and the Rocks that can just go out there and talk and entertain the fans without even, you know, doing anything athletic.
But those things take memorable promos, and you cannot create a memorable promo on paper approved by 20 people. You cannot manufacture a moment out in the ring like that. You got to have to trust your talent to go out there and deliver on a dime. And
well, here's the problem with today's talent, and I fall, you know, in this category as well. If you flip through Twitter, any social media, right? What do you see? I mean, you don't stop and look at this big long promo that's 5 minutes long. That's like, you know, maybe people are crying or laughing or cheering. You don't look at that. You look at the 5-second, 10-second GIF that's on there, and you're like, oh wow, that guy did that. That's amazing. That's super clever. That's athletic. That's wow. It's just so amazing, right? So when a fan a guy that's not even a wrestler yet, but maybe has aspires to be a wrestler, they look and they see what's getting all the retweets and stuff and the likes. It's the guy doing the 630 or the guy doing the Canadian Destroyer or whatever the case may be. And then they're like, well, I want to be like that. So what do? When they come as a wrestler, They don't worry about having to be able to talk. They're like, I'm just going to be an awesome wrestler. I'm going to deliver in the ring. So they don't focus on any of their promo skills or anything. They start getting in the ring and wrestling, and then they start like getting traction. They're really over, and then they're like, oh man, I better learn how to talk. If they can't already do it already or didn't think about that piece. So that's the problem. It's we're doing it to ourselves. We're retweeting and liking all these gifts that mean nothing. They're cool to watch, though. Don't get me wrong, but like people are so focused on that, and then they're like, oh, I want to be like that guy getting all that retweet, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to focus on this rather than, telling a story or, building my character or learning how to promo and stuff.
I have one more thought before we move on and wrap this up. But before I get there, I got to ask you at least, has there ever been anybody come up to you and tell you you don't have good promo skills? Now, I don't know.
Not to my face. Like, I know that I'm not like I can't go out there and just like cut a promo and be awesome and get the people in the palm of my hands or anything. But, if you need me to deliver a message, I'll deliver a message. I've had Scott D'Amore tell me before, and maybe I was on my game, or he was like, or maybe that was the point in my career I was really focusing on my promos. He was like, Petey, man, you're a hell of a promo. I remember him saying that to me. But then again, I remember him saying to me before, like, wow, that promo sucked. So I mean, it's hit or miss pretty much.
As your friend and somebody that has become a fan of yours through our friendship, because I wasn't a Petey Williams slappy and then we became friends. I think that was part of the draw. I loved wrestling. You loved it, but we were not, it wasn't like, Petey, you're the best in the world. I love you. And you're like, oh geez, not one of these guys again. But I say that with saying, I've seen your promos. I think you have above average skills. You're not horrible. I get the feeling in the message. I think sometimes it feels like you're pushing the emotion, but that's okay. That being said, as I stammer, trying to kind of come to grips with what I'm trying to say is, it's something you've worked on, as you just said. Why are you getting to the highest level in the WWE and then you have a good promo skill and then it's being snuffed out?
What do you mean snuffed out?
Like through creative, like, let's say, Adam Cole can deliver a hell of a promo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout his career, Ring of Honor, Bullet Club, hell of a promo. Now he's taking those skills up to the WWE where they go, oh, no, pump your brakes on this creativity thing. Here's a 3-page script we want you to memorize, and you go out there and say that. That's snuffing out his
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's also the writer's job to know, like, his talent as well. So a writer should be like, okay, this is what this guy usually says. This is what his character is built around, so he's in charge of, like, maybe writing that promo, like, almost out of the eyes of the talent, which is kind of weird to me. Like, we don't have, I know at Impact, WWE is like a whole nother monster because they have so much staffing. At Impact, like, somebody like Jimmy Jacobs is great at promos and stuff, like telling people kind of like what to say, but he's not going to write it out verbatim, And even when I've been with Jimmy before, where I'm like, I go, Jimmy, what do you think I should stay here? And he was like, okay. And he wouldn't even be like the producer of my segment. And he'd be like, all right, well, so what? Oh yeah, we're doing that. Okay. So if you said something like this, and you'll just say A, B, C, D, and E, and then and I'm like, all right, that's good. Okay. Blah, blah. I said, okay. So I'd come back to him later, and I'm like, what'd you say again about that one part? And he says, I don't remember. And he'll ask me like, well, tell me what I told you again. I'm like, you said something about this, that, and that. And then his promo will change again for me. So it's whatever he feels at the time. There's always creative. And sometimes I think it actually, when you put it down on paper, when a writer sits there and really tries to write it out, like it's, and they're like, oh no, that's wrong. I'll erase that. Well, you don't erase anymore because everything's probably done on computer, but I'll erase that. Oh, that sounds better like this. Whatever. Then it becomes like not authentic, And I'm like, oh, nobody talks like that in real life. But then again, nobody fights like wrestlers in real life either. So it's okay if it's a little bit bad. But like, nobody walked around talking like The Rock or Stone Cold or even Dusty Rhodes, like rhyming all the time, or Ric Flair and his catchphrases. Nobody did that. But you know, I mean, it's their job to know that, and like, but also maybe I think a little bit more of what should happen in WWE, because I mean that's what we do in Impact is, you know, if the writer says, well, I don't feel like I should say that or whatever, it pretty much should be bullet points. Like, hey, this is the point that we're trying to do. This is what you have to say. This line you have to say. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We have to say it because it's going to lead into this storyline. Okay, great. I'll say that. But the other, you know, minute and 15 seconds that you're talking, you know, you're pretty much selling your match for the person, or you're selling the storyline, or whatever the case may be. Like Austin Aries. Austin Aries is great at a promo. Like we told him, well, not we, but like, you know, management told him like, hey man, like we're not going to write down what to say. We're like, you have a match, you know, with John Morrison coming up at Bound for Glory. We're in Mexico. Half the people don't even speak English here. But we're making you go out there. You got to talk for 10 minutes because this is for, you know, TV, and you got to sell the match. It's up to you. Go ahead. And he could say whatever he wants, you know, but that's great. And that's why his promos in Impact, I feel, are so much better than his stuff in WWE, because it's not like, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. It's similar to it's a mess. But yeah, I think there does need to be a little bit more in WWE, a little bit more like wrestler has, you know, a little bit more creative control over what they say. I just think it comes more genuine.
With that being said, to wrap up this whole Vince McMahon shakeup thing, I have one more point after this I thought of while you were talking. They're going to listen to the fans, right? Daniel Bryan is a character that's coming out and getting booed. What's the difference between a boo because you're the bad guy and a boo because we don't like you? Can they tell the difference?
Yeah, they can, because
what's the difference then?
Well, the difference is like Daniel Bryan right now, obviously they portrayed him. He's doing stuff a bad guy would do. Okay. So he should get booed, right? I mean,
right.
You know, Roman Reigns was supposed to be doing stuff that a good guy should do, and he's facing bad guys. So, and that's the writing it. And then when he comes out and gets booed, you know, that's what you don't want. But John Cena is the same way. Like, you know, he was champion for so long, he'd come out and face all these monster heels, and then he'd come out and get booed, right? Cena sucks chants and all that kind of stuff. So that's the difference. However, you know, I remember back in like in the Attitude Era, like X-Pac had like people called it X-Pac heat, because people were like, oh, I don't want to see this guy right now. And I don't know why, because X-Pac is great. I love X-Pac. But I remember at that Attitude Era time, he had maybe a group going on called like, are they called X Factor or something? I don't know. Maybe Albert was in the group too. But I remember like, and even Edge, I think, pointed out in a promo like, hey, you're not getting booed, you know, because people hate you. Like, you have like changed the channel. People want to change the channel when they hear your music or something like that. And I'm like, oh, they actually addressed it. That's great, because that's what everybody was feeling. So I think, you know, there kind of has to be more of that, I think, written into stuff. Yeah, so I mean, that's the difference right there. If you get no reaction as well, it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do now?
So I think history will look back on the Roman Reigns thing, saying that we were wrong on him.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So why are we going to listen? Well, why are they going to listen to us, the fans, who mercilessly booed Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns was a decent worker, a decent promo, but he was a hell of a guy in the ring. And the second he put on that vest and joined to become the Shield, everybody cheered him again. You know, I get, WWE shoved him down our throats. Guess what? That's their job, is to create somebody, build him up to be better than everybody else, and then he is the guy. I get that. But when you boo the guy every night, then he goes off. And it was tragic, and I am heartbroken over the reason why he left with leukemia. I am thrilled at the amount of love and support he has gotten since then, because because wrestling fans are fickle, and I love them most of the time, but wrestling fans can be son of a bitches. Okay, I'll say it.
Yeah, yeah, you're totally right about everything you just said, Dennis.
But,
I mean,
but now he's not here, and the show is lacking something, and it's him. I think things wouldn't be totally different, but things would be different if he was still on the show, whether he's champion or not. And they didn't really shove him down our throat. Sure, he was in almost every major pay-per-view, main event, but he wasn't winning every week. That's the difference between him and Cena. Roman Reigns lost a lot, where they were building up a great story about this guy being built up and was still an underdog. And people could not get on board with that.
Yeah, and they've pulled every stop and stuff. I don't know why. I mean, we've talked about Roman Reigns. We've been talking about this, I think, since day one that we podcasted, because it's always been the same reaction for him. But I don't know, like, everything was, you had the Hulk Hogan era. He was your guy. Then you move on, and I think, like, it was kind of like a Bret Hart, then Shawn Michaels was the guy, then Stone Cold / The Rock at the same time, and then it transitioned to the Cena era.
Well, Triple
and now
H.
It's like Triple H was in with the Rock,
but
Stone Cold. I'm talking about the top guys.
Yeah, but I think there was a transition. But there was a transition when Rock and Stone Cold left, where Triple H became the guy, and then Cena took over.
They knew they were funneling into Cena. So I mean, you just always, like Roman was the next guy, right? So I mean, now it's like, are we going to have a next guy? I mean, are they doing it to Seth Rollins? Like, who is it? Maybe that's what the show's lacking. People are thinking, like, who's our face of WWE right now? Is it Brock Lesnar, who's never there? Like, who is our face that everybody was like you could look at John Cena and be like, oh yeah, yep, he's the guy that wrestles for WWE. Yep, we know him. And any of those guys that I previously mentioned. But right now it's like, okay, who's the guy? So I think they're trying to figure that out right now.
All right.
Or maybe it's Becky Lynch. Maybe Becky Lynch is the man.
Well, I mean, she is the man now.
Yeah.
Outside of that, that was kind of the hottest topic I really want to talk about this week. The holidays are a little bit slow. We may or may not have a show between Christmas and New Year's. That all depends. So far, my grandma's still alive, so Grandma Watch 2018 still continues. So we have a show in the queue already, kind of ready to go. A little bit of a best of. So if she goes, there will be some content. If not, we will continue to keep podcasting. There will be a new one between Christmas and New Year's, Pete.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we'll play it by ear. Is it okay? Now listen. Is it by ear or by year?
Ear, like the thing you listen.
Yeah, I've argued that with people. I just want to clarify. It is ear. Okay. Good. Thank you, Dennis. Anyways, that was a side topic there.
Hey, we just did an Iron Man match. 60-minute podcast to the end.
Oh man, we're gonna have to 5 more minutes. No, nobody chant that right now.
not at this point, no. But I could tell you what, I'm like the Shawn Michaels of this thing. I pinned you 1, 2, 3, right? Clearly.
Well, I'm gonna take a blue chew and kick out. And oh no! All right.
Wait. Are you gonna first use the promo code WPP?
I will.
Oh, beautiful. See, we can chill with the best of them, baby.
Yeah, we can.
Anything to promote?
Well, we got the Impact Homecoming pay-per-view coming up in 2 weeks.
Which you're not
January
gonna be on?
6th. No, I won't be there. So if you're looking for me, I'm not your guy. And then we're gonna be in Mexico that weekend filming more. I should be at those ones. And then February will be our Las Vegas TV tapings, so I should be at those as well. So that's what I have going on right now. And that's about it.
Oh, and by the way, my one point that I just about forgot was, you know what fixes this? More Vince McMahon on TV. People will tune in every week. Because everybody loves Vince McMahon. They love to boo him, they love to cheer him, but they love to watch him. And we know as fans that we only have so much more time of Vince McMahon. Depending on his age and health, he's
the XFL, which he's probably going to be involved in a lot.
So, you know what? That helps a lot. Just give us some more Vince. Because I feel like every week that he's alive and not on TV, I'm being stolen of something that could be great on TV.
Yeah, Vince McMahon is probably the greatest heel of all time. Like, he helped make Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, why not kind of repeat that process?
I mean, the greatest era in all of wrestling, some would argue, was the Attitude Era. And he was maybe 1A or 1B in that as a personality.
Yeah, I would definitely. Everybody talks about Rock and Austin, right? But they were like the biggest baby faces ever. But we never talk about like who was the biggest heel. It was Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the corporation. It always was.
Give us some of that back before it's time to move on with him. And God forbid he still has a appeal as a heel on TV. And I think he could still pull it off to just about the highest levels on the mic as the Attitude Era. Maybe not physically, but on the mic.
Yeah, and I mean, why are his promos so great? Not only because he can talk so great, he's allowed to go out there and say whatever he wants because he owns the place. So he could throw in any remark that's unapproved and have no consequences or repercussions. So that's also, the sky's the limit for him. So I mean, if they did that with everybody, I know you can't go into business for yourself, but I mean, if they give a lot more freedom, you'd see a lot more Rocks and Stone Colds popping up, I believe.
All right. And for me, promoting as we wrap this up, go to WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. Make sure you go subscribe to the podcast there. All the links are there. We're going to be adding the new network with a host of shows over there. You can listen to the shows straight from that webpage, or you can go to blogtalkradio.com/Wrestling Perspective Network, I believe, or just type in Wrestling Perspective Network. Just make sure you subscribe. We're really doing a push for Blue Chew. Like I said, guys, I think they're going to stick around for one more month. But if we could do a real big push and have some people go over and, spend the $5 and get some Blue Chew, it would really help for them to continue to stick around. Hint, hint, hint. And they can keep advertising with us. And, look, I'm really working on this FU money. So, and Blue Chew helps that, where I can, basically retire rich. I mean, that's all. No, we use it to put it back into the podcast, to be honest. It doesn't go into the mortgage on my new house I'm trying to buy. It really goes back into the product that we are trying to put out for you people. So please, BlueChew.com, use the promo code WPP, or whatforapparel.com/WPP. Buy a shirt. Tell us. We'll thank you on the air. Pete, I don't know if this is the last podcast before the new year, but I got to tell you, I'm going to treat it maybe like it is, but this has been probably the best year of podcasting, whether I was with ESPN or not, I have had with you in my podcasting career since 2009, and I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I haven't been in podcasting for long, but I feel like if next year is anything like this year, I mean, we're going to have a great year coming up. So thanks.
And thank you to the fans, because once again, we geek out every time someone tweets about the show or tweets us or DMs or talks to us. Who did we reach out to trying to get on the podcast this week?
I don't know. A bunch of people. I don't know. Can't remember.
Matt Taven, right?
Oh yeah, Matt Taven. That's right. Didn't respond to me. Jeez. And I have to say, it wasn't the Kingdom I was in. I think it was called the Embassy. Oh. I'm sorry, Kingdom and Embassy. Yeah. So that was my fault on the tweet right there.
I think you should tweet him again, because right now I love what this guy is doing. Have you ever wrestled him or been at a show with him?
I have never wrestled him. So I don't. You know what? Now that I say that, he's going to be like, Petey, remember we wrestled back in like 2005, man, when I had like this color hair and I was a lot smaller. I'm going to make, oh man, So As I recall, no, I've never wrestled them.
Two, you know what? The one thing we do know is you are not the Canadian Santa Claus because you don't remember anybody's name. You can't check it off whether they've been naughty or nice. I mean, every week I have to reintroduce myself to you. Like the story you tell about how every week Sting and TNA would come and introduce himself to you and it wasn't a rib.
Yeah, I totally get him now. You know, I was looking at some of my old DMs, and one from like Anthony Nese in WWE, and I remember I DM'd him. I'm like, I said something like, "Hey, it's," or maybe he DM'd me. It's like it's a three-way with me, you, and Drew Gulak, and I'm like, well, I've wrestled him before, but I think it ended up being a tag or something. But I'm like, I was on a show with him before. I'm like, I don't even remember any of this stuff. So, man, I must have been hitting the head way too many times.
There we go, guys. Happy holidays. We will have something next week. Thank you to each and every one of you. Hopefully Santa Claus will bring you whatever you desire into your stocking, which is Blue Chew. Say goodnight, Petey.
Good night.